afternoon, Tampa Bay. Here we are at the DuPont Registry Tampa Bay World International Headquarters. We're located right here on the edge of St. Petersburg and the edge of Clearwater in the Airport Business Park, right by the St. Petersburg Airport. Glad to see you all today or tomorrow or whenever you're getting a chance to view this edition of Tampa Bay Talks. Today we've got a special guest, Brian Dow. Brian actually lives here in St. Petersburg, but running a small business, growing that business, interesting business to talk to him about. He has some other ventures that he's gotten involved with. So, Brian, welcome today. Glad to have you here.
Tom, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we want to make sure that we get the direct name in here, One Stop Brokers.
That's correct, yes,
What
sir.
What does it do?
One Stop Brokers, we service individual, family, and small business health insurance markets.
And so I come to you and say, I got 3 or 4 employees, I don't know what to do, and you find me the best deal.
That's absolutely right. That is actually our niche. That's a perfect size business that we would be looking for. Typically, you have larger businesses that are going to be more corporate in scope. And so when we're dealing with small businesses that don't necessarily know what their options are, that's why we exist.
It's like a scary monster outside your door when you talk about health care for your employees and how you handle it. We had, at one point, with all of the magazines together, we had, 75 employees. And the one meeting a year as CEO you dreaded was the renewal. I can remember turning to the young lady who came in to make a presentation. She said we only had a 17% increase in premium. And I stood up and said, that's un-American. You're going to have to do better. This meeting's over. She did come back with a lower number, but it was a guts play. I was bluffing, but nobody can go without health insurance, and certainly in today's world, it's a confusing situation.
Yeah, well, thanks for saying that. I mean, honestly, that's one of the things that I really like to share with my clients, customers, the folks that I talk with is folks literally cannot afford to be without health insurance. And it's not health insurance for the sake of having coverage for the day-to-day, the routine, the mundane, the vaccines and the flu shots, that type of thing. You really need the health insurance, Tom, as you can imagine, for the unforeseen, the unknown, the catastrophics, right? The
Absolutely.
Cancers, the strokes, the heart attacks. So that's really what I'm in the business to protect individuals against.
That makes perfect sense because that big, scary hospital can be a big, expensive place to go when you have to go.
Yeah.
And heaven knows sometimes it's a dangerous world out there. So, Brian, tell us a little bit about where you came from. And by the way, I know you are a Marine. No such thing as an ex-Marine or former Marine. Once you're a Marine, you're always a Marine. And so we thank you for your service to the country during that part of your career.
Well, thanks so much, Tom. It was such a privilege to wear a uniform for 22 years serving our great country. And you're absolutely right. I consider myself a Marine today. Privileged to carry the title for the rest of my days. So absolutely an honor to do that. I hail from Boston, Massachusetts, was born in a small town, Lynn, Massachusetts, and then I grew up in a town called Peabody, which is a neighboring town, Peabody, Mass. And then by way of the Marine Corps, I ended up in various different states. So I left home around 17 years of age, joined the Marine Corps, traveled, lived in various places throughout the country, California, Hawaii, Virginia, Florida, Texas, a handful of other places. And honestly, in all my travels, this is the 4th time that I've ever been stationed and or lived in Florida. And I'll speak to my wife for just a moment. I'm never leaving. I love Florida, so happy to be here.
We're glad to have you here as a resident of Florida, and particularly the Gulf Coast here. When you moved here, I think you picked the correct coast because it's a wonderful place to live.
It really is. I feel like I'm in paradise.
And, well, talk to us also a little bit about what's going on today. You've got health insurance. Obviously, you want to have that, and especially in the face of a pandemic.
Without a doubt. So the insurance carriers have really stepped up to minimize, reduce, or altogether eliminate the out-of-pocket exposure for individuals who are affected by COVID. So that's the first important part. And honestly, when you're talking about health insurance, as I alluded to a moment ago, it's not necessarily, Tom, about those day-to-day exposures. And I don't mean to be callous or short with anybody, but I don't worry about your routine day-to-day coverages. I think about your routine day-to-day bills, $7,500, $125 bills, and I know that's a lot of money for some folks, and I don't want to be cavalier about that. But I equate that to preventative maintenance on your automobile or on your home. So,
Sure.
for instance, you need to go get an oil change and you want, a synthetic oil in your automobile. You may pay $75 to $100 for an oil change once or twice a year, maybe 3 times a year. And you're happy to do it to keep that vehicle in optimum operating condition. So it's not really about that preventative cost, right? Speaking of your home, if your water heater goes out, your HVAC system goes out, you're going to contribute towards those things as an out-of-pocket expense, or what we would consider in the health insurance industry as a patient responsibility. The key is obviously in the event, God forbid, you have a hurricane that affects your home or you get in an automobile accident, those are the reasons that we're carrying those insurance policies. Well, likewise, with regard to your physical body, if you have cancer, stroke, heart attack, or any of those godforsaken diseases, those things can bury the typical American.
Certainly.
So we have 1 million cases a year of medical bankruptcy in the United States. My job, as I see it, Tom, is to protect people and prevent them from ever experiencing something like that.
So how do you convince a youngster in his mid-20s just starting to work? I got worry in the world. He might take some vitamin C every once in a while. He's on his bike riding around like crazy on the weekends. He probably stays out too late pre-COVID a couple of times. He says, I don't need health insurance. I'm perfectly healthy.
Yeah. So that's a great question. We have a few people here in the studio here that, could potentially have that mindset. They're young people. They're invincible. They're perfectly healthy. You and I know better, right? So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I will just share a very personal story. I have a nephew, Hunter, 17 years of age. He's fighting for his life today with leukemia.
Oh, ouch.
So they're not invincible. Now, they are certainly low risk, and I want to recognize that low risk, and I would share with them the reason that they, because of that low risk, they can benefit from a very inexpensive policy, right? So the rule of thumb is, from what I do in the policies that I sell, we typically come in 40 to 60% less expensive than your standard marketplace plan. And so for the viewers out there, if you were to take the age, let's say for the sake of argument, you have an individual who's, let's use the group you're talking about, 25 years of age, simply take your age and put a 0 on it. And that's what you should expect to spend on health insurance on a monthly basis. So if you're 25, guesstimate somewhere in the neighborhood of $250. My goal is to always come in $30 to $50 less than
Sure.
that factor. So I believe that the majority of individuals 25 years of age, you're looking at $180 to $220, give or take, on a monthly basis for just a remarkably strong plan on a great nationwide PPO plan that would give, not only that young person, but obviously his entire family, his parents and so on,
Sure.
give them great peace of mind knowing that their loved one is
Okay,
protected.
so we're getting the commercial in here really well, which is what we're supposed to be doing.
Well,
so how does somebody get a hold of you? OneStop.com?
Absolutely. So it's onestopbrokers.com, and that's one with the number 1. So it's One Stop Brokers, or simply we can share their phone number with them. I'd be happy to do that.
You're on Facebook, I know that.
Facebook is a great way. I have a young lady that just does a wonderful job for me with marketing on sites that I'm not really sure even how to use, but they're the Instagrams and the Twitters and the TikToks and so forth. So
Sure.
We're on all of the platforms, the social platforms. Very easy to find us just by searching One Stop Brokers.
And you can find him in the pages of the DuPont Registry, Tampa Bay.
Indeed.
An important aspect of this. I understand you started a new business. In addition to One Stop Brokers, you've got something out there called Lure Secure?
Lure Score.
Lure Score.
Yes. Yes. So this is something I'm extraordinarily excited about, Tom. I appreciate you allowing me to share this as well. A little to the chagrin of my wife, I've always sort of followed the adage that if you chase two rabbits, they tend to both get away. But in this regard, we have a remarkable team at One Stop Brokers. So I'm dabbling with some other hobbies I have, which include the entrepreneurial spirit. So Lore Score is one of those things that, as most sort of ideas or experiments or inventions come to people, it's sort of by accident or born out of necessity. And so Lore Score is one of those businesses. I believe it's something that's based out of necessity. When I look at the marketplace and advertising, and DuPont Registry is a wonderful form of advertising, but I look at the market, Tom, as very fragmented. With regard to marketing and advertising. Business owners are stretched so very thin today, trying to keep up on all the social media platforms, trying to keep up with direct marketing, paid digital advertising, web-based advertising, SEO advertising, and so on and so forth.
That's what we do.
That oftentimes business owners struggle to focus on what it is they do best, which is their business. Right? And so what we're striving to do with Lore Score is really focus the business, or the business owner, I should say, back on what it is they do best, which is to provide great customer service. And so when I say that it was born out of necessity, my wife likes to tell me that I'm cursed. But when I place an order at a restaurant, perhaps for pickup or whatnot, maybe it's me, maybe I'm not very clear, but inevitably I find that there is something missing from the order. There is something that, was missed along the way. There's a charge missing, a charge added, whatever the case happens to be. And I really believe that business owners are so worried and focused on running their businesses from a business perspective that they fail to do what it is they do best, which is to provide great food, great service, a great experience. And I want them to focus back on that. So Lore Score is a platform that it's a ranking platform. If you think of a Facebook review, a Yelp review, a Google review,
sure,
it really brings the business owner back to customer service for the sake of obtaining a customer review. And that review, in turn, is going to go through an algorithm, which is going to give them a score for their business. So now when you or I go out and we want to find the best maybe Greek restaurant or seafood restaurant or best attorney in town, for instance, we can go to Lore Score, do the search, see what their score is based on this algorithm, based on customer satisfaction.
Sure.
And we can now self-refer ourselves to these businesses based on the aggregated score that the business has received from their great customer service.
So just launching the website recently.
So the application, it's actually going to be an application. It's going to be available on the Play Store and the Google app. It's actually, we're expecting it to, the application, we've been working on it for a couple of months, building the algorithm, the platform, and so forth. We have quite a dynamic and international team building this out for us, and we're expecting that we're going to go live as early as December 15th. So
Good.
Super excited about that.
Well, good luck to you. It sounds like a system that'll be worthwhile if you are investing in your business and investing in your customers and your customer service. You're going to be recognized with a very good score.
It's all about customer service, which is something that every one of us deserves, no matter who we're doing business with, no matter what type of business we have. It's about focusing businesses on their customer.
I'll cross my fingers. I hope my salespeople would measure up nicely on the score and get a good score for the DuPont Registry Tampa Bay. This is our latest issue, incidentally, the holiday issue. Looking out over the water, the Christmas decorations, a lot of interesting articles, a lot of good stories in here. A lot of good advertisers, some local purveyors of either food or services or goods that need recognition these days. Shopping local is something that people are talking a lot about. The big box stores and the internet access to the world of goods and services is well known by everybody. But finding those individual entrepreneurs out there to be part of part of your daily shopping or weekly or monthly or your holiday shopping. You'll also notice, those of you who are watching, we've got the bobblehead there with a Santa Claus hat on. We're celebrating. We're going to have Christmas this year no matter what. But one of the things we're going to be sure to do is celebrate our good fortune with others whose fortune is not as good, or less fortunate people. Plenty of those in the Tampa Bay area.
Yes,
Feed
sir.
Tampa Bay, Feed America if you're going across the country. There's opportunities for all of us to go out and lend a hand to somebody who needs a hand at the moment. And you'd be surprised. The best investment you can make in a community is to lend a hand, because you never know when that person's back on their feet. They're going to lend a hand to somebody, and there's going to be 10 people doing that. And the next thing it's 100, the next thing it's 1,000, next thing is 10,000. And that's kind of the reputation of the Tampa Bay area. Well known for it.
You know, that's a fantastic point. And going back, if I may, Tom, real quick to the Lure Score idea. The Lure Score, our logo was built with a drop of water into a puddle of water to create that ripple effect. And some of our key words or taglines are really pay it forward. And they're say something kind, say something nice, right? It's all about, as a consumer of a business, you know, it doesn't cost us a dime extra to give an accolade to somebody who has, you know, served us, who has done something nice for us, who has gone above and beyond to take care of us. It doesn't cost us a dime to recognize them with a review, and that's really what Lure Score is. So it's intentionally positive. Negative reviews are not permitted. So we've built that into the algorithm. A non-review is the equivalent of a negative review. So if you don't, going back to your mom's adage that, you know, we were all taught, if you don't have something nice to say,
Don't say it.
Don't say anything at all, right?
You got it.
So it's a fantastic thing. And I just want to reiterate one of the things, if I may, that you just said. The Feeding Tampa Bay is extraordinarily important to one-stop brokers. And so for every policy that we sell, it doesn't matter if it's a dental policy, a vision policy, or a health insurance policy, every single policy that we sell, we donate $5 to the Feeding Tampa Bay.
Well,
so
thank
it's
you
a
for doing
fantastic organization. It's remarkable what they can do with $5. Creates 50 meals. I do not know how they do it. It's magic, but it's remarkable. So thank you so much.
And glad to hear that you are reaching out into the community and being helpful. Well, Brian, thanks so much for being with us today. We learned a lot about your business, about one-stop brokers, and about Lure Score.
Yes, sir.
Score. And we wish you good luck on that venture, and hope to see you around town helping the community, as well as at some event where we can all go wear our masks. Incidentally, do not forget to put your mask on. You've got to help out, stop this pandemic in its tracks. I believe we're getting somewhere, but it's a little scary out there right now. So wear your mask, pay attention, and try and reach out and lend a hand to those in need. That it for today?
Tom, I think that's it. And I just want to say thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure as well as a privilege. So thanks so much for having me.
Pleasure to be with you today. So, folks, it's Tom DuPont, publisher of the DuPont Registry Tampa Bay, coming to you from St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Florida. Great to be with you. Hope you are having a great day. Look forward to the holiday season, the beginning of 2021. So go out and make it a great day, Tampa Bay.